He deserves his reputation as possibly the greatest actor of his generation. I've come to the conclusion from editing a film that he's made, seeing every last little bit of footage, I think he is the best actor in the world.
Quentin Tarantino has never been shy about sharing his opinions, especially when it comes to actors. Over the years, he's named and praised a wide range of performers, from underrated character actors to global superstars, but who stands at the top in his eyes? Today, we'll take a closer look into Tarantino's own words about several incredible actors and who he thinks is the best of all time. Quentin's criteria for great actors. Quentin Tarantino has built his reputation not only on bold storytelling, but on his ability to bring out memorable performances from his cast. He's drawn to actors who take risks, who commit fully to their roles, and who bring something extra to the screen. In interviews, he often praises actors who have range, intensity, and presence, people who don't just recite lines but embody their characters completely. He respects actors who aren't afraid to be unpredictable. He values charisma, not just in the Hollywood sense, but in a certain kind of electricity that can hold an audience's attention even in quiet moments. He's drawn to what he calls fearlessness, a willingness to play flawed, strange, or dangerous characters without vanity or hesitation.
Every single actor, if it's your cousin who you talked into doing the movie and he's the worst actor in the world, but he's got red hair and you need the guy because he has red hair and he'll do it for free. Or if you're talking about Christoph Waltz, it doesn't matter. If you're right there by the camera, when you say cut, they will all look to you to see what you thought. They're acting for you.
Many of his favorite performers aren't necessarily the most popular names in the mainstream. He often highlights actors who are respected in the industry but sometimes overlooked by the public. For Tarantino, greatness isn't about awards or box office numbers. It's about the ability to create something unforgettable on screen. Robert De Niro, a legendary influence.
When a writer creates a character, it's like the character's your children, all right? You're its mother, its father, all right? When an actor takes the character from you, it's like they're lovers. Now, ultimately, people, they grow on, and ultimately it needs to be the wife-man or whatever relationship, like make it come through, and the parents need to kind of like let it go its course. To me, when you're like really investing into a lot of in character work, that's kind of the relationship. And so we did that together completely, and it was very, very, I'm not taking credit for his work, because that's his work.
When Quentin Tarantino talks about De Niro, he doesn't hold back. In his eyes, De Niro is in a class of his own. Tarantino has referred to him as, quote, probably the greatest actor of his generation, and at one point called him the best actor in the world. That's no small praise coming from a director who has worked with some of the most respected names in the business. Tarantino had the chance to work with De Niro on Jackie Brown in 1997. While the role of Louis Gara wasn't as showy as De Niro's earlier parts, Tarantino admired the subtlety and restraint he brought to the performance. De Niro didn't need to choose scenery or dominate every frame. Instead, he played a low-key, aging criminal with an internal calm that only someone with De Niro's control could deliver. What stands out to Tarantino is De Niro's complete commitment. Whether he's playing a mobster, a taxi driver, or a former convict, De Niro disappears into his characters. He doesn't just act, he transforms. That level of discipline, combined with a quiet intensity, has left a lasting impression on Tarantino's view of acting at its highest level. Michael Parks. Quentin Tarantino has always had an eye for actors who fall outside the usual Hollywood spotlight, and no one represents that better than Michael Parks. While Parks never became a household name, Tarantino held him in incredibly high regard. He once said Parks was, quote, one of the greatest actors that's ever been produced in our lifetime, a strong statement that reflects deep admiration for both his range and authenticity. Parks appeared in several Tarantino projects, including From Dusk Till Dawn, Kill Bill, and Death Proof. What drew Tarantino to him wasn't just his ability to deliver a great performance, it was how effortlessly he could switch tones. Parks could move from calm and reflective to threatening or eccentric without breaking the truth of the character. That kind of flexibility stood out to Tarantino, who often writes roles that call for sudden shifts in energy or emotion. There's a certain rawness in Parks' work that fits perfectly with the kind of storytelling Tarantino likes. He never seemed concerned about stardom or image. He focused entirely on the work. Sean Penn, charismatic intensity. Sean Penn is another actor who made a strong impression on Tarantino. While they've never worked together, Tarantino has publicly named Penn as one of the 3 greatest actors of his generation. What sets Penn apart, in Tarantino's view, is a certain kind of raw charisma, something he once described as sheer sexual violence charisma. It's a phrase that may sound extreme, but it speaks to the intense energy Penn brings to the screen. Penn's best-known roles often involve deeply troubled or morally ambiguous characters, and that's part of what Tarantino appreciates. He doesn't just play these roles, he throws himself into them. Whether it's a death row inmate in Dead Man Walking or a vengeful father in Mystic River, Penn brings an emotional depth that feels completely lived in. There's nothing safe or calculated about his choices. Tarantino respects that kind of risk. He gravitates towards actors who are willing to go into uncomfortable territory and make bold decisions. For him, Penn represents that spirit. Even without a direct collaboration, Penn's work has earned lasting praise from Tarantino, who sees in him the kind of intensity and presence that few actors can match. Tim Roth.
I think for Pumpkin and Honey Bunny, for instance, I think it was one of those things where, okay, so for Pumpkin, we will offer the movie to Tim Roth. If Tim Roth turns it down, we will offer it to Christian Slater.
Tim Roth holds a special place in Quentin Tarantino's circle. Not only does Tarantino consider him one of the greatest actors of his generation, but he's also cast him in some of his most iconic films. Roth played Mr. Orange in Reservoir Dogs, Pumpkin in Pulp Fiction, and Oswaldo Maubre in The Hateful Eight. Few actors have worked with Tarantino as consistently across such different types of roles. What draws Tarantino to Roth is his range. He's praised Roth's versatility and ferociousness, pointing to his ability to shift seamlessly between charm, menace, and vulnerability. Whether playing a calm undercover cop or a flamboyant British hangman, Roth adapts completely to the tone and rhythm of the film. Tarantino has called this a chameleon quality, something he finds rare even among top-tier actors. Roth's performances are often rooted in tension. He can hold a scene in silence or explode in anger, and Tarantino knows how to use that to full effect. There's a trust between the two, built over decades of collaboration. For Tarantino, Roth isn't just a reliable actor, he's one of the few performers who can fully match the energy and unpredictability of his scripts. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is perhaps the most unpredictable name on Tarantino's list, but that's exactly why he admires him. In an interview, Tarantino praised Cage's fearlessness and talked about how the actor often takes on roles where he seems miscast, then surprises everyone by making it work. To Tarantino, that kind of risk-taking is not a flaw, but a sign of greatness. Cage's career is filled with wild swings between high-budget action films, offbeat indie dramas, and surreal character studies. He's played everything from an alcoholic screenwriter to a treasure hunter to a screaming beekeeper, and somehow he gives each role his full commitment. Tarantino sees that as a rare trait. Cage doesn't seem interested in playing it safe or protecting his image. He's more focused on testing his limits, even if the results are uneven. What makes Cage stand out in Tarantino's eyes is the way he turns strange roles into something watchable or even brilliant. Tarantino loves actors who take bold chances, and Cage has built a career on doing just that. It's that sense of creative danger and unpredictability that earns him a place among Tarantino's favorites, even without having appeared in one of his films. Identifying his number one favorite actor. Quentin Tarantino has spoken highly of many actors, but when comparing his words, one name rises just a little higher: Robert De Niro. While he deeply respects Michael Parks, Tim Roth, Sean Penn, and Nicolas Cage, his praise for De Niro is more direct and absolute. Calling someone the best actor in the world is not something Tarantino throws around lightly. His admiration for De Niro goes beyond a single performance or collaboration. It's about a long-standing body of work that shaped modern acting. Tarantino grew up watching De Niro in films like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The Godfather Part 2, performances that set a new standard for intensity and realism. By the time they worked together on Jackie Brown, De Niro had already reached legendary status. Tarantino saw that firsthand and never forgot it. Though he's gushed over the natural talent of Parks, the risk-taking of Cage, the ferocity of Roth, and the charisma of Penn, none of them received the same kind of sweeping declaration. De Niro is the one Tarantino credits with defining what acting can be. Now it's time to hear from you. Who do you think is the world's greatest actor? Let us know in the comments section below.